Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm going to be using some Hershey's nuggets to make my craft project, and I was lucky enough that I went to the States in September and I bought a big bag from Costco. It's the 145 pieces bag, and I think it was about $11 US, but we can't actually buy these in Canada in very many places. Occasionally my bulk barn store will have them, and they'll be in with the mixed candies and I can just pick out the few bits that I want. But I was lucky and I was able to get them from the States. And I'm using my paper pumpkin that I got for October. It's the Christmas one, and I'm using Santa, and the Santa Claus is coming to town. I'm not using the card bases or anything, but you certainly could if you wanted to. My project is going to be this one. It's just a little treat holder. It's got 6 of the nuggets in, and I've made them so that they look a little bit like Santa's belt. And then I've stamped the Santa and the sentiment. And I think it's a nice little stocking stuffer. It will be a great little gift to give to a teacher or a bus driver. It's a quick and easy little project. So let's give it a start. And to begin with, I need 6 of the nuggets. And I've chosen, they actually say they're the ones with almonds. If I was selling them at my craft fairs, then I would always have a notice up to say it contains nuts. But I'm going to use these 6, and I've got all my pieces already cut out because there's quite a few pieces. So I've got my real red. I'm using card, but you could use designer series paper as well. You don't have to use cardstock. And I just need 6. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm going to pop those out of the way. And I'm using my bone folder. I'm just going to curl the card slightly. That makes it easier to wrap around the nugget and for it to stay attached. You don't get creases that way either. And while I'm doing this, I've got 6 black strips to go around for the belt as well. And if you check my blog, I leave the link for my blog. All the sizings will be there. But these black pieces are 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And I need 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And then I need to get my little pieces for the top of the belt. And what I used this year was the punch, and it's called the Best Label Punch, and it comes with this set. And if you wanted, look, you can sort of stamp the letters on top, but I only wanted the shape. So I'm just using this punch, and I'm using some scrap of like a gold foil. You don't need very much. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I'm going to pop those to one side, and then we'll get all of our nuggets covered first. Okay, let's bring them in. And you can use a glue dot to glue them down. Excuse me while I just reach for my glue. If you are really careful, you can also use liquid glue, and that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to start with my red card on the top of the nugget, turn it over, and just, it makes it so much easier just to fold over once it's already curved. And I'm only putting my little bit of glue down here. Okay, so let's just hold that for a second. And then I'm going to do all 6 the same way. Once you've got a little assembly line running, it's really quite fast. It's just the cutting and getting everything ready that takes me a little while. Okay. So just hold it for a second or two. If you're putting a glue dot on, of course, you don't need to hold it down. That will stick straight away. Okay. Oh, they're a little bit slippery. So you just have to sort of hold them tight and just wrap that card round tightly. I did look at using the red DSP from the holly paper, And then I thought, well, actually, I've got some little scraps of real red and I'm going to use those. But paper would certainly work. And if you don't have any red designer series paper or any red card, you could use white card and then maybe just colour it in with a blend or a crayon. Okay, I know it's a little bit tedious just waiting for them all to dry, but there's only 6. I have been using Hershey's nuggets for years. I used to sell them at my craft fairs when I did them before COVID, and they were always a winner. And if you look back on some of my other videos, you'll see that I make one where you have a row of 5 nuggets or 4 nuggets just wrapped in designer series paper, not with anything else on top of them. And they are always popular. Okay, so now we're going to put the belts on, and we put the belts on just at 90 degrees to how we put the others on. So, but exactly the same. Just stick them down. And you can pinch these in a little bit because the nuggets are not square. You know, they're not flat edges. And so if you just pinch it in a little bit, that will keep them nice and flat as well in the bag. I know lots of our American friends will use these for craft fairs, and they're really popular using nuggets. In the past, when I haven't been able to get them, I've used, you know, like the little mini candies that we have for Halloween and everything. If you have any of those left over from last week, you can certainly adapt the sizing. Just measure your paper first, your red. And I've made it exactly the same size as the nugget, but you can, it doesn't matter if you've got a little bit showing, if you want to make them slightly smaller. But that's all I do. Whoops, I throw that one on the floor. Let's put that belt over. And a bit of glue on here. Don't be afraid to just fast forward through me making all 6 of these, because every single one is the same. So fast forward and, you know, go on to the next step. Just have to make sure that you get them straight. And because it's lined up at the back, you know, it doesn't matter too much if they're a little bit crooked, but the straighter you can get them, the better. Last one. A little bit of glue. And always give yourself, you know, plenty to wrap over. I used to try and make them a little bit smaller because I thought I was saving cardstock or something, but actually you're not, because it's a little bit more tedious, and then you end up with little bits flying off and it hasn't glued properly. So just give yourself plenty. Okay, then I'm going to glue all the little belt buckles on. And I'm going to put glue in the middle of each of these. You don't need an awful lot. And then these little pieces that we cut out with that punch, just pop it right in the middle. And these are exactly 1/2 inch wide, so they fit just exactly right onto the belt. Oops, wobbly one. The Hershey's Nugget bag does come with some chocolates in that are not containing nuts, but they're not made in a nut-free facility, so you do just have to warn people. Oops. And if you wanted, you could use one of these little strips that you've got there, and you could even cut off little squares, pop them in the middle like this to make it look like a proper belt buckle. On my ones in here, I didn't. I just left it as a gold buckle. But you could certainly cut these off. And so they would look like that. Well, let's do that. Let's put a little bit of glue here. Oops. Might take a little bit longer to stick on just because the gold card is shiny, and I find it takes a little bit longer to dry with the liquid glue on there. Okay, so we pop these on right in the middle, and then we're going to set them aside to dry anyway. Let's put these up here, and we'll cut just a few more. I love using punches to make different things. So, you know, that's not what this punch is for, but it works perfectly. I love doing punch art and everything. There we go. So there's our little 6 chocolates just drying. And by the time we come to use them, that will all be stuck on and dried. Okay, so let's make the bag that they're sitting in. Now for my bag, I'm actually using the clear medium envelopes. These are a little bit cheaper than using the 6x8 bags or anything. And because they've got that little adhesive strip, you know that the bag's closed. So this is going to be the bag that we put a piece of card in to start with. If you don't put the card in, I find that these little pieces will wobble all over. So I've already cut my things, and the piece for inside is just 4x4, and I've used basic white. And on there, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape. And I'm not putting it right down to the bottom, and I'm just going to put, oh, that was a little bit too small. Let's put a little bit more. This is just to stick the nuggets onto, and that way they won't roll about in the bag. And if you've got them for display at a craft fair or something, then they're going to stay, you know, in place. You're not going to have to keep moving them because one's fallen down or moved to the side. So let's pop that there. And then I'm going to put 3 on each side. Don't glue them right to the very bottom, because these bags don't have, or the envelopes don't have gussets in. So you need to have just a little bit of space. Okay. So can you see I've left sort of 1/4 inch. And then I'm just going to line them up. If you find that you've got a little bit too much tear and tape, just pick it with your nail like that and push it down so that you can't see it. Okay. And the same at this side. And I've just left a gap sort of at the left and the right. I've tried to stick them as straight as I can, but you know, it doesn't matter too much. Okay, and then with this little bag, I've got this adhesive strip. I'm leaving that on the front. I'm just going to slide this in. And I'm not pushing it all the way to the bottom. I found that if you push it to the bottom, you get the card bending a little bit. So now all I'm doing, I'm turning it on its back, taking the strip off, and I'm not gluing it or attaching it so it's flush like this. I'm only going to fold over to where this little piece is. I need something to stick my topper onto. So I'm just going to fold it flat, put that over there. Okay, so there they are, all contained in the little bag. Okay. Can you see how it does buckle a little bit? But that's okay, because once we've got the topper on, you don't notice that. Oh, look at that little belt buckle. It's not very straight. Just let me. I'm just going to take that out. I don't think that one was quite glued on. There we go. Let's pop it back in. There we go. Should have waited till that glue was dry on all of them. Okay, then fold fold that over. Now to make the topper, I have another piece of the basic white, and this is cut at 4 by 4.5, and I've scored it at 4. And we're just going to fold it over, and this will just make the easiest little topper. And then I've cut 2 pieces of designer series paper, and the paper I've used the Christmassy paper from this Celebrate Everything pack, and let me show you. It's called Celebrate Everything, and it's one of the packs of paper that you can buy as a hostess, or if you have an order for over $200. It's in the mini catalogue, and it's this one. You get 48 sheets for $24.50. So you use your Stampin' Rewards to buy that. And it's got lots and lots of different patterns in, but they're all seasonal patterns or holiday themed. I used this one for my snowman cards. And it's got, you know, like stripes, rainbows, fireworks, autumn leaves, some really pretty Halloween, some really, really pretty and useful ones. This is the one I'm using, but I'm going to use the red side. Little trees that you could colour, snowflakes, lots and lots of different patterns. And you don't need very much. I've only got 2 pieces, and they are cut at, let me think, 4 1/4 by 1 3/4. And just, I can't attach it yet. I need to attach it to the bag first. Okay, so this just fits over the top of where we've sealed this little envelope, and push it down just as far as you want it. You won't want to have it pushed down really flat, because you want a little gap so that you can still see the Hershey's nuggets, and so that they're not crumpling up. Okay, I like it so that it just covers the top of this white piece. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that it's straight. There we go. And I'm going to staple it. I'm going to just put 2 staples in, one at each side like this. Don't go right down to the bottom of this card. I'll show you why in a moment. But you do need to be able to catch the bag that's underneath. Okay, and then I'm going to glue this over the staples so that you can't see them, and so that they're not sticking out and poking anybody. Okay. Let's pop some glue on here. I want to make sure that I've got glue in the middle of it as well, just so that it's gluing over the top of those staples. I'm going to do the back piece first, and that way nobody's going to get their hand sort of stuck on a staple. There we go. And then let's pop this one on. Oops, I nearly glued it on the wrong side. And again, I'm making sure that I've got glue in the middle to glue on top of those staples. Okay, so that's our simple little bag with a topper, and now we just need the decoration. And what I've used for my decoration pieces are the stylish shape dies. I've used not the largest circle, but the next 2 down, and the banner piece that goes in here. So I'll do our stamping next. I've got my banner piece already cut in basic white, and I'm going to stamp in Memento Black. And it's just the right size for this sentiment. It just fits perfectly. So let's line that up and make it straight. Okay. And I chose that sentiment just because we had Father Christmas or Santa as our image and our theme. And then I'm going to stamp Santa's face. I've got the head piece from the stamps in the paper pumpkin. I'm going to stamp in Smoky Slate. And it just fits on there. I move it a little bit to the left so I can get all of his hat on. Okay. And then with the bigger circle, I've just die cut a piece in basic black. And that's going to be our backing. and I'm only quickly and easily colouring. I've used the light petal pink Stampin' blend, and all I did was I went over his face. This one is starting to run out, this petal pink. Can you hear how it's squeaking a little bit more? And I found that if they squeak like that a little bit, then it means they're running out. I've used it a lot. I'm just going to go over it a couple of times to make it a little bit more colour on it. And then I'm using my Real Red just to colour the hat. Oh, let's go over with the bullet end. Oh no, that's a bit thick for me. I might wobble off the line. So I'm just going to use that bullet end again rather than the brush end. And you could do lots of shading on here. You could, if you have the puff paint, the little white puff paint that puffs up with the use of a heat tool, you could make that little pom-pom out of that. I'm just doing a little bit of red. I'm not putting any other decoration on there at all. And to attach this to the black, turn it over, and it is just a nice layer. I like these layering circle parts, or the layering squares as well. I like that it's a bit of a wider border. Okay, so let's get our little bag back. I'm going to attach this over here. I'm going to have it hanging off the edge just a little bit, but I'm only attaching it with liquid glue. So I want it just to be at the side. And you could line it up and put it in the middle so that it looked like this was Santa's tummy. Okay. And then last of all, I've got my sentiment. I'm going to pop that on with dimensionals. I'm just going to put a couple on the back. And then I'm going to attach it over this circle and over the Designer Series paper as well. There we go. So there we are. That's my little bag ready for Christmas giving. And I quite like the ones with the little black squares on, actually, for the belt. I think that looks pretty cute. Okay, so I hope you like that. I hope you'll give it a go. And I am finding so many uses for these stamps from the Paper Pumpkin. I'm loving this Santa one. I've used it on a lot of my preschool planning already. So the children are going to have that little piece and colour that in because it's quick and easy for them to colour. So thank you for joining me, everybody. I'll see you all again really soon. And you know, if you want to have a go and you didn't get the measurements, check over on my blog and everything you need will be there. Thanks, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.